Thursday morning, a lot to talk about today. Mark Schlabach, ESPN.com, is going to join us here right at the beginning. It is opening day of March Madness. Great day for all Irishmen. Tomorrow is a high holy day, St. Patrick's Day. After Mark Schlabach, we'll be joined by Ben Troupe, ESPN Coastal over in Savannah. And in hour number 2, the AD angle, John Hartwell, AD at ULM, checks in along with Matt Dean over in Memphis at Rhodes. And then in the last segment, we'll be joined by Tad Snyder, Executive Director of the Birmingham Civic Arena. They manage and own Legacy Arena, where the NCAA will have some big games going on 6 days a week. Follow us on Twitter at @sidelines_live. We are here 50 hours a month of content. We have a job to do, that is to bring on the best guest. And after a little momentary delay here, let's get started. Mark Schlabach, first off, you're one of the top writers out there. You love golf too. So I'm going to try to get started with whatever's on your mind. But I know that there's a lot of stories out there in college football and basketball. Had a horrible, tragedy at Georgia. I heard you talking about that. What's the latest news there involving Jalen Carter? People love to speculate, but I love to talk to people who gather the facts, that are true grit journalists, whatever the stories are out there, and that's what you're great at. So anyway, love having you on here, and we're ready to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob. I was over in Athens, what is today, Thursday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'd met with Kirby Smart a couple of weeks ago, first sit-down interview he did. I think it was on March. It was 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But
yeah, it was.
He basically said a bunch of the same things he told me back in that interview. It's obviously a tragedy, and anytime something like that happens, you've got to review all of your procedures and rules and things like that. But as he reiterated on Tuesday, the bottom line is that young lady wasn't supposed to be driving the university vehicle at that time. It was only supposed to be used for recruiting purposes.
Yeah.
Young kids make mistakes. This one was horrendous because it had tragic consequences, and Devin Willock lost his life, and Chandler LaCroix, the young woman who was driving, lost her life. But they've done things to try to educate their kids, players, on the dangers of speeding and drag racing. And he said they brought in police officers from the Athens-Clarke County Police Department and UGA Police last summer because they had seen some videos of kids racing in Atlanta. And I mean, it happens every weekend in Atlanta now. They basically shut down downtown when they're racing and spilling out and everything else. So they've tried to be proactive, but it's something that was just horrible.
Yeah. Mark, I remember, I think we're about the same age. I remember doing stories when I was a TV reporter in Columbus, Georgia, about drag racing on the Strip back in the, 89 and 90. It's unfortunately been a problem for a long time. But, I think that people love to, throw stuff up against the wall, and they think they're journalists and hope it sticks. But I appreciate so much, and my listeners do, when you're on, and Tony Barnhart, people, you go gather the facts and okay, here's what we've got. And you'd make a hell of a lawyer, but whatever the story is. But I want to ask you now, that is a horribly sad story, what happened at Georgia and all. Next question is, there are a lot of rule changes we've been hearing about. I know Steve Shaw and the NCAA Officials Committee met March 3rd up in Indianapolis to talk about things like not stopping the clock after an incomplete pass until, it's so wide open. And there are a few other things to maybe speed the game up for making it better for TV. What are your thoughts on all that? And what do you know more? I guarantee you know more than we do.
Actually, I don't, because I haven't paid much attention to it.
Okay.
I know after all the rules changes, they think they're going to eliminate, 4 to 8 plays?
Maybe they said maybe 15 plays a game.
Maybe 15 plays. I guess it depends on what type of offense is being run. But
yeah,
the two, and I'd probably get in trouble from ESPN for saying this, but the two things I would do is cut down on the number of commercials and cut down on the number of guys faking injuries, and you'd probably really speed it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something that Steve Shaw was on the show. I remember before last season saying they were really looking at trying to lower targeting penalties. And I think there were a lot fewer called last year than there were in previous years. But the other one was the fake injuries. And I didn't see that much of that this past season. Did you think it was a less number? I thought it was.
Yeah, there was fewer. I just remember talking to a coach late in the season who might have been involved in the playoffs or not. And I asked him if a kid was okay going into the next round because he'd been hurt the week before. And he said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, he was down on the field at the end of the game." And he said, "Well, that was on purpose." So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it is so frustrating when the hurry up, no huddle offense first came in. I know when Gus Malzahn came to Auburn, man, he and Brett Bielema had a few spats about it. And I'm against anything that makes college sports more like pro sports or anything that hurts the integrity of the game. But Mark, next question I have, and then I want you to talk. I know you're covering golf a lot, but the NIL and the portal, and that's one of the reasons you said you're more interested in golf. I have a theory, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I think NIL is going to peter out to where it's going to be, okay, yeah, there's going to be guys making money and girls making money in different sports, but it's going to be similar to what happens after the Olympics. You'll have a handful of people that make a bunch of money, and then everybody else needs to go get a job, and they better have graduated and go do something else. I just don't think wealthy people, in my wealth management practice that I've been doing 32 years plus, I've never had a family ever dole out 10, 15, $20 million to their 19, 20-year-old kids. It's all age-banded trusts and incentive-based trusts.
No, I agree with you. I think there were certainly some cautionary tales this past season where people may re-examine whether or not they want to be as heavily involved in the NIL business or as much as they might have been in the beginning. But DJ Ungalele, excuse me, Rob, my allergies are killing me.
So are mine.
He had all those national campaigns and ended up really struggling and losing the starting job and transferring to Oregon State and then Texas A&M. They paid kids as much as anybody through their collectives, and they created a lot of problems in the locker room, and some of those kids transferred. When I was talking to Kirby Smart a couple of weeks ago about that accident, I asked him, do you have to reassess how you educate these kids about racing and speeding, because now they've got the financial wherewithal to go out and buy these $100,000 cars with 707 horsepower engines that go 189 miles an hour. And you give a 18, 20-year-old kid that kind of car, he's not going to drive 45 miles an hour. So, and that, I think Jalen Carter's Jeep, whatever it was called, souped up Jeep, came from a luxury dealer in Ohio. That guy, I don't know what his legal liability is, but I think people like that may be a little bit more cautious about what they do in the future.
Yeah, it is. And I think that one of our friends, Frank Duffy, on the show, one of our partners, is three of his friends in Louisiana that own businesses all did NIL deals with LSU players. Not one of those players suited up at the end of the season for the bowl game. Every one of those guys, he said, was madder than hell, because it's kind of like if you pay an employee, you and I both understand how that works. You do the job and you show up early and you say, what can I do to help? I mean, Mark, if your phone rings at 5:36 in the morning and you're in the blind, it's turkey season, you see Tom behind me over my shoulder, but you take that call, you and I will take that call from somebody. That's how we are. But I think it's starting to reveal a lot.
No, I think kids are showing up with entitlement more and more. Those 3 LSU guys opted out of the bowl game.
Yeah, they just didn't. They just quit.
They didn't play. Yeah, that's a problem. Nah, I mean, look, we've talked about NIL, the transfer portal. NCAA basketball tournament starts today. I don't think I've ever been less excited about the start of the NCAA tournament because I don't know the teams because they transfer so much.
Yeah. See, and Mark, that was where I was going to go next because I've got people blowing up the phone. I know you only have a few minutes to talk about the LIV golf, the Masters is coming up, but you're right. It's the second year in a row where it's really sunk in. Experience matters. If you've got a bunch of 4 and 5 year players on some no-name mid-major, that's who I'm putting in my bracket. I got to fill out my bracket right after the show. I hadn't even finished yet. That's how I'm with you. It's chaotic.
No, it other than Masters Sunday, it used to be my favorite day in sports. And, I'll watch some games. I'm going to meet some buddies at lunchtime to watch some games, but I don't know any of the teams. I mean, I filled my bracket out about an hour ago, and it was basically a guessing game. I don't pay much attention to college basketball anymore. I think I watched maybe 4 or 5 games this year, and 4 of them were probably Georgia games, so they don't count. But it's somebody told me there's a kid on Georgia's team. I think his name's Jackson Etter. He's a guard. He transferred from USC. Said he's had 45 different teammates during his college career. There's only 13 guys on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
It really is. I mean, Mark, when you think about it, when you started out in your career, you weren't where you are now, and that's obvious. But what if you'd have had that portal mentality? You may not even be doing what you're doing now. I mean, you got kids there's some guys that have transferred 4 or 5 times. I mean, I've moved, companies a few times, but it's always been after 8, 9, 10, 12 years if I do it. And it's, 1 and 1 equals 3. I think that maybe that's why Jay Wright is on the TV set now. Coach K, Roy Williams are not coaching anymore. When's that going to start happening in football, do you think?
No, I think you've already seen it. I think it's one of the reasons Matt Luke got out, after he was fired at Ole Miss and went to Georgia. I think the recruiting weighed on him. You're not only having to recruit high school seniors, but you're having to recruit your own kids to stay. You're having to recruit kids out of the portal. The calendar's all screwed up. I think you're going to see more NFL coaches get out of it. I mean, guys have told me they don't know how much they can keep up with this.
Yeah, and you hear a lot about it. Mark, let's talk about a happier subject. I think the free market will work it out. That's what I believe will happen, and we'll all be looking back and going, yeah, these, we tried it, and people, nobody has to pay it, and that's what I hope happens. But talk about golf, LIV, the PGA. There is so much interest, and people were texting yesterday. Got to get Lauren Smith on, and you as well, if you'll come on with us as we get ready for the Masters, because and I cannot thank you enough for the number of times you were taking a red eye. I remember last year from Portland to Atlanta, and you called us driving back from the Atlanta airport to your home outside of Athens, and having flown international flights a few times, 30 hours of switching and stuff, and then having to get in your truck and drive 2 or 3 hours to your house. Thank you. But what about golf right now? Are the tensions easing? Is the free market just working out?
I think it's more settled. Liv is pretty set on their 48-man rosters.
Okay.
For this year, I don't think you're going to see anybody else from the PGA Tour go over. I do wonder with the changes the PGA Tour made recently with the elevated events where they're going to be limited fields with no cuts, does that lack of access into those designated events with $20, $25 million purses, if guys ranked 75 or worse aren't going to have access to those, are they going to be more motivated to maybe go to live? Older guys that are maybe getting near the end of their career who've struggled some. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how those shake out starting in 2024. I kind of wish instead of just doing it on last year's top 50 FedEx points list, if they had set some you play the first quarter of the season, Masters ends it, guys in the top 50 from that point are eligible for the next few designated events. And then you play 3 or 4 more, maybe end it with the Open Championship. And after that, those guys are eligible for it. So I think it's going to have to be tweaked. But, the legal case is slowly moving up. I just was on Pacer, the federal court record search, and judge stayed discovery in the Live versus PGA Tour case. So that thing was scheduled to go to trial in January. I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to that. I think it's going to be much later. They haven't even established regular discovery, let alone getting documents from the Public Investment Fund from Saudi Arabia and its governor. They're saying they've got sovereign immunity. So a lot of judges and courtrooms or courts are going to have to decide on that.
Yeah. Well, another one, Mark, now as we get ready for the Masters, I think this is going to be Lauren Smith's 64th consecutive. And how many have you been to? Because you're so blessed to grow up where you have in that part of Georgia and that part of the country. But it's a golf event that's a combination of college football, super game, the best of everything on that weekend. It's just, and I don't play golf. I grew up playing tennis. But when I do play golf, I can see with my personality, it's so addictive, you'd never come home. They'd have to come find you.
Yeah, I used to be that way until I started covering golf. I think I played 8 rounds last year. I used to average about 30 or 40 or even more.
Wow.
Nah, I mean, it's my favorite sporting event in the world. It has been every year. I've probably been 15 times. I probably covered. This will probably be my 9th, I think. So I'm nowhere near Lauren.
Yeah.
And
Nobody is.
I hope I don't come close to matching Lauren's string. It's funny. I'll be in St. Andrews or Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. I'll turn around and there's Lauren. I'll say, Lauren, what do you got?
What do you got, Lauren?
How'd you get here?
Mark, we got to take a break because we had a little bit of issue. Can you hold on for just a few more minutes? Because I know you've got a tight. Okay, got a couple more golf questions. This is so special having you on here talking about it because people love hearing about golf as well. Be right back. 30 seconds.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Mark Schlabach, ESPN.com. And Mark, and I appreciate you holding through the break. I know you've got a tight schedule, just a few more minutes. On the golf side of it, the popularity of golf just skyrocketed as Tiger Woods ascended back in the late 90s. Who's the next out there that you've seen that you think has the potential to rally people to play golf? And what are the numbers looking like in terms of the TV viewership?
The TV viewership's been pretty steady for the PGA Tour. Liv's numbers, it depends who you listen to.
Yeah.
The ratings didn't look too good for the first event, and then they came out with some ridiculous 3.2 million viewers on this new app that comes up with the ratings that I've never heard of. But I'll be curious to see what their ratings are this week. I mean, you talk about picking a terrible weekend to play your first U.S. event in Tucson. I mean, the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. Participation rounds are at an all-time high coming off of COVID. I think equipment sales are down. It's going to be interesting. The USGA and the RNA announced earlier this week that they're considering a proposal to roll back the balls to make them less explosive and cut down on distance to make golf courses not have to keep getting longer and longer. But, I don't know that you need to mess with anything right now. I think the sport, other than Tiger's heyday, is probably as popular as it's been. But, I think you got three really dominant players, Rory, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler. Scotty's been probably been the most consistent. Rahm, I think, is probably the most talented. And I think Rory's probably got the personality closest to a Tiger and the popularity closest to a Tiger. He's got to get his driver figured out. He's struggling with a new TaylorMade right now. But, those three guys have dominated. There's some other good young players out there. Max Homa is another guy that I think is going to be a superstar. I wish Joel Damon would get better and take himself more seriously, because I think he could be a really good thing for golf as well.
Yeah. And Mark, I sent you some data just now. I texted it to you about, it might help you with the tournament today. It's some pretty cool numbers about the ages and experience levels on basketball teams. But we definitely want to get you back on going into the Masters, if you'll come on with us, because college football is king in the South. You know what I think is right after it in terms of just more people, our listeners, golf. The PGA and Live. So got to say thank you so much for coming on here with us. Appreciate you staying longer. Tell people how they can keep up with you, and if you've got a book coming out, because I know you've written 13 really good ones.
I do not have a book coming out because all I do is cover golf and college football right now, but I just haven't had time. But just on ESPN.com. I haven't tweeted in 5 years. It's the gutter of humanity, so don't follow me there.
No, and listen, I stay purely on the sports angle of it. But anyway, Mark, thank you so much. Look forward to having you on again soon, and have fun today trying to figure out, like I am, who the hell these guys are on these teams, because if you know two of them, you're way ahead of the crowd.
College of Charleston, UC Santa Barbara, and Drake are my three teams.
There you go. They probably got, between the three teams, they probably have an average player has been on the team 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I like that. All right, Mark, have a great day, and happy day before St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks, Rob. Have a great weekend.
You too. Appreciate it. That is Mark Schlabach, ESPN.com. And man, I like Mark. He tells it like it is. He's going to go do the research. He's going to do the homework. And he's over in Georgia covering golf, college football, but he's like a lot of people. Man, who are these teams? And the transfer portal. And I didn't ask him the question of the day, because I'm wearing the shirt from Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. HewlettandDunn.com, HEWLETT and Dunn, DUNN.com. They've got him in now, Ben. I don't know what size you are. I'm thinking you're what, a medium? A large?
I ain't been a medium. I ain't been a medium since I was probably middle school. I'm all of a 2XL, 3XL these days.
I was kidding. I need to get you one of these shirts. They're from Old South Clothing Company, and it's Bigfoot on the t-shirt on the back, and it's doing the famous profile, wearing a pair of, I guess they're Tifosi sunglasses, because they sell those at Hewlett and Dunn. But man, do you believe in Bigfoot? Do you believe in miracles? Do you believe what we're seeing in the NCAA tournament now? It's hard to name 5 players on any one team. When we were growing up, I mean, it's in my brain, Phi Slamma Jamma, all these great teams, but they were together for 4 or 5 years. But you know what? I'm still watching it. I'm as fired up as ever. and I got to finish my brackets after the show.
Oh,
Nothing like being prepared, huh?
It is. The greatest thing about the NCAA tournament, Rob, is it is the most equal sport there is in college, because it really doesn't matter where you go. And I mean, listen, Kennesaw State University is in the NCAA tournament. First time they've ever made. Howard University made it in. And the thing about it is yes, we get caught up in the Cinderella stories, right? The St. Peters and the Coastal Floridas and the different things. But that's what makes it what it is. See, college basketball, yeah, I know Duke won the ACC tournament, so they did make it in. North Carolina didn't make it in. It's like we get so caught up in the blue bloods, but I think about the UNLVs with Larry Johnson, Grandmama, and them boys. I think about Houston, them Houston boys coming out getting it done with Clyde Drexler and company. I think about Michigan and the Fab Five, the most prestigious freshman ever with Juwan Howard and Taylor Rose and company. And but to me, that's why you watch though. Like, as much as we want to see these storylines of these big blue blood, the Bill Selfs in Kansas, can they go back to back and all this? But the scariest teams in the tournament are the teams that nobody knows about. Those are the scariest teams because they've been dominant in their conferences for years, and they finally get the notoriety. We get to see them. I don't care if it's the first round, second round. For every quote mid-major, I'm rooting for the mid-majors like no other. Yeah. Because that's what the NCAA tournament is about. Because it doesn't take but one Cinderella run, and you can become a household name. I remember when VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, who is also in the tournament right now. Shout out to that Deloach kid. I think it's Caleb Deloach, or shout out to the Deloach family. For those of you who don't know, Savannah, Georgia's own, Coach Deloach, Rob Deloach. He got a son that goes to Florida State. He got a son that goes to VCU, and his daughter went to Ohio State. I don't know who the royal family is in the state of Georgia, but in Savannah, Georgia, it's the Deloach family. His son is going to be playing for the VCU boys. But shout out to everybody that made it. I think it's the greatest spectacle in college sports, Rob, because anything can happen. Just ask Gardner Webb a couple of years back when they shut down the Kentucky boys opening round. So them brackets will be busted after this weekend. My mama asked me, is Warren Buffett still offering $1 billion? Yep, because he know ain't nobody going to get no perfect bracket. That's why.
That's right. You offer what nobody's going to get anyway. I'll do 6 brackets in story. And I remember I'll do them for my dogs. You know what they do? They automatically pick every team with an animal mascot. Okay. And typically I remember, somebody in the back office that sends out checks and does all the really hard work. A lady that doesn't even watch basketball will get first or second in the office pool too, because they don't get too emotionally vested in it. And that's a way, when you pick games, you've got to not get caught up in the name on the jersey. You think about, and there's some data that's come out, and this is really cool. This was provided to me by Doug Dean, our good friend, part of the Sidelines team down in Birmingham. And it's really good. And it just shows NCAA tournament is more like, the YMCA tournament. Of the top 30 teams in experience, 16 made the field and 31 of the top 73. Okay. Only one of the bottom 40 made it. By far the oldest tournament in recorded history and likely ever. That's to do with the virus, the dreaded virus. Does experience win in March? These are the 11 players who will be 25 years old, I would say, or older at the start of the tournament today. DeAndre Williams, Memphis. Zep Jasper, Auburn. Roman Penn and DJ Wilkins, Drake. Flip Rabaka, Iowa. Makai Ashton, Lanford, Charleston. Wow. That's great stuff. And it just, experience matters. Look what you did, Ben, in your own case. Okay. And uncommon, unfinished, You are. You waited. You didn't wait around, doing nothing. You worked your ass off for Steve Spurrier, for Ron Zook. But when your time came, when your number was called, which way did you run? You ran to the front line and were an All-American and made 5 years in the NFL because you were prepared for the task. You worked your ass off, and it happened. That's what life's all about, isn't it? You there? Ben? I think Ben is frozen. Audrey? Ben, I think a lot of people are caught up in the moment and saying, well, these guys are all great players. Well, you got a bunch of freshmen out there against a bunch of third and fourth year players. Good luck. I mean, it's going to be very hard for them to go and be successful. Find me the experienced players. And again, this data put out by Doug Dean. I mean, you talk about crunching the numbers. And Ben will be right back with us. But crunching the numbers. 11 players today, opening day of March Madness, will be 25 years or older. I mean, that's amazing. And I'm sitting here looking at all the teams out there. Keep in mind, you better get your brackets filled out because the games start right before 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern. Get them filled out. I think people are going to struggle more this year because they're going to keep going down that rabbit hole and picking the brand name teams. This is where you go get these generic, remember beer, the white can with black all caps that said beer. That was back in the mid 80s. Go generic. Go, true value. Go low cost. Go for the bargains. That's where you're going to be successful in picking in the tournament. So I would be very careful about going with all the brand names. People are, it's the same thing in the stock market. People love to buy high and sell low because their emotions take over. You can go on CNBC, Fox Business, and you'll see a bunch of fifth graders throwing darts against the wall, supposedly beating the pros on Wall Street. Not so fast, my fools. There's no real money involved. Once you put real money into anything, be it the stock or the bond market, your NCAA, brackets, $10, $20 a sheet, whatever. Once you put real money into it, then emotions getting involved will take over. That is very scary. You never talk to anybody that's a doctor, an emergency room doctor, trauma surgeon? What did you do when they brought all those people in from that 10-car pileup out on the interstate? Well, we sewed them up and sent them upstairs for surgery. And honestly, I don't want people that panic. What'd you do, Rob, when the market went down 1,000 points? Talk to my clients. I didn't know it did. You got to be careful on these brackets. A lot of people are going to go with Houston. Watch what Memphis did to Houston. Memphis has the playbook. They played them twice in the last week of the season, twice in a week. Lost at the buzzer in Memphis, beat them by 10 the next week at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Okay? That's significant. Okay? Purdue, what does Franz Beard, GatorbaitMedia.com call him? Perdon't. How good is their guard play? All right? You start thinking about all these teams out there. Be very careful. Let me say something real quick about one of our sponsors. Eleanor Maynard is with us now on as a sponsor of Sidelines, and she is with Hobson Realty, okay? Hobson Realty, and her numbers are incredible. Let me just run you down what her accomplishments are. Eleanor is a 4th-generation Memphis residential realtor, 3rd-generation Hobson realtor, top 5% out of 4,600 realtors in 2022. Okay. This is significant. Go to the sidelines.live website, find her, Eleanor Maynard, hit the hyperlink for Hobson Realty, give her a call. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your home in Memphis, you're looking to move to Memphis. We have listeners all over the place. Thank you. Call Eleanor Maynard, Hobson Realty. She's on the website. She'll be on next week. We're going to introduce you to her. You're going to love her. Her team will get after it. I also want to say something real quick before we go to the break, Ben, about our good friend Maury Gaston. I've known for 41 years. Today in Ashland, Alabama, they will lay to rest his father-in-law, Joe Runyon, a fine American, Sigma Nu at Alabama, and Nancy's father. And his background really impressive. Lieutenant Commander at the Theta Chapter, Sigma Nu at Alabama, veteran, small business owner, 100-year-old Planters Hardware on the square. You got to love people like that. That legacy will live on forever. You lived a great life, sir. We're going to be right back. Ben Troupe, Rob Browne on Thursday's edition, the day before St. Patrick's Day, and not a beer had been drank yet. Yeah, Ben, we lost you there for a minute or two, and Audrey thought maybe that tiger behind you. Man, there's a party going on behind you, Ben.
It's a jaguar actually. It ain't even a tiger. This thing here is, I mean, you can listen. This has nothing to do with me. This is my lady's design. She just let me use her stuff sometimes. She's like, don't mess up my stuff. I'm like, what am I gonna mess up? Am I gonna touch something? Jesus.
Yeah. Now, whose is that again?
This is my lady. This is my lady's. I'm in her office right now.
Wow.
Like when she sees this, she gonna say, "What you doing in my office?" I'm like, "What you think I'm doing? Do you think I'm stealing?" No, I'm talking to Rob. I just happened to be in your office when the show came on, and I got the whole Lion King here with me. I got the whole Animal Kingdom here with me.
Hey, yeah, look, hey, real quick, this is a question that just came in. Oh my goodness, man. From Dwayne Allman in Macon, Georgia. He says, ask our man, Ben Troupe, does anybody celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Savannah? Just out of curiosity.
I'm kidding. I don't know if y'all have heard. But the whole river gets dyed, whole Savannah River gets dyed green. River Street, they just tell Savannah PD, they tell Savannah Police Department, y'all just take the night off because we ain't even got enough people in the jail cell. We ain't got enough room in the jail cell. It's kind of like Florida, Georgia on St. Simon's. I mean, anybody, listen, you can't go to River Street if you don't drink beer, okay? You're going to be drinking beer. You're going to be drinking a lot of it. You're going to hear things like, you don't hear things like, I've had enough. No, you haven't. Come on, get you some more. But listen, happy pre-St. Patrick's Day. I remember when I was working in New York, and listen, I'm telling you, them Irish people, they see you walk around wearing green, they got a problem with it. They be like, what you wearing green? I'm like, I'm sorry, this is just what I picked to wear today. So happy pre-St. Patrick's Day. Savannah, Georgia will be lit somewhere. Fran's Beard. If you see Fran's Beard in Savannah, tell him, get your behind back of your car and get back to Gainesville. You ain't got no business being down here. Fran's gonna be down there partaking in the festivities.
Yeah. Well, Savannah, I've been there several times. It is an absolutely cool city. It's laid out on a grid. It's a really old city. And as a first time I went there, I was 6 or 7. And I remember Dad being an architect, he knew that. And, but it's beautiful, but 500,000 people plus St. Patrick's Day. You can't get a hotel room. I mean, but it is St. Patrick's Day. But I'll tell you one thing on St. Patrick's Day, what you got to be really careful of, if you're on a green screen background and you're doing a show and you wear something green to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, you'll be invisible. I mean, you can't be a leprechaun.
The city's gonna come alive, Rob. I will say this: listen, I'm a backwoods Georgia boy. Like like we all country. Like let's just put people go. Oh, you from Atlanta? No. People from Atlanta just got skyscrapers. They just as country as us. I don't know where y'all get that from, but I'm from backwoods, Georgia. So we grew up going to Savannah. Anytime it got close to St. Patrick's Day, we were like, Mama, we going to Savannah? My mama would be like, no, I'm not dealing with that traffic. I'm not dealing with that causeway. Savannah is already very, 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 very saturated with people. Then you finna get all these other people coming off of I-95, 295 to get. So all I'm gonna say is be careful this weekend. The reason why I'm not gonna be in Savannah, because I'm guaranteed to make the news for something I ain't got no business making the news for. And then I got to come on Rob Browne sidelines and explain myself. Not doing it. I'm just going to stay away from the city. But if the outskirts of the city, places like Rankin, places like Pooler, you might catch me over there with the kiddies.
And there's another town, Richmond Hill, outside of Savannah.
Yes, my brother lives in Richmond Hill. Shout out to the Richmond Hill boys. My nephew will be a junior this year at Richmond Hill High School playing tailback for him. But yeah, the Richmond Hill boys. Think about it. You got Richmond Hill, Georgia, and then I lived in Augusta, Georgia. That's the county of Richmond. I used to get that so messed up when I was growing up. Hey man, listen, Savannah, everybody will be in Savannah, Georgia this weekend. Anybody who's somebody. If you've never had a beer in your life, don't go to Savannah, because you're going to taste every beer known to man.
Yeah, because, Pat Dye grew up in a little town called Blythe, Georgia.
I know what Blythe is. Listen, Blythe, that's southeast, or central, southeast Georgia. Basically, that's the east side of Georgia. So them Bainbridge boys over there on the coast of on the border of Alabama, we don't know nothing about them. Okay, they're almost on Central Time. We don't deal with them. We are where I'm from. Where I'm from, listen, you know about Wadley and Rennes and Louisville. Yeah. Cities like you got Waynesboro, spelled W-A-Y-N-E-S-B-O-R-O. I'm from Swainsboro, S-W-A-I-N-S-B-O-R-O. Georgia Southern is in Statesboro. So, you can have more of that on my side. But shout out to them Blythe. Blythe sounds like what it is, a little itty-bitty little town that if you blink your eye, you already drove through it. You already drove through Blythe.
Well, Coach Dye, they grew up, they had about 3,000 acres, and they farmed with about 25 families out there. And he used to sell, when he was a kid, I'll never forget this. George Lapidus, great sports writer up in Memphis, wrote a story about when he was a kid. He and his 2 older brothers, Wayne and Nat, that played at Georgia, used to sell watermelons out of their little red wagons. And they had a slogan that said, watermelon, watermelon, red to the Rhine. If you're going to buy one of mine. How about that? That's pretty
Let's
cool.
do it. Listen, I wouldn't have had no money. I would have just hung out by the truck. They're like, get this little boy some watermelon so he can get the hell out of here. But I got to say this, though, about watermelon. A.J. Browne, listen, Ole Miss Rebel, Tennessee Titan, now Philadelphia Eagles. I think he was trolling me. A.J. Browne said on Twitter the other day, he said, quote, watermelon is trash. I said, what did you say? Then RG3 comes behind him and says, no, watermelon is good. Just put some salt on it. And I said, no, cut it up, put it in your mouth and eat it. That's all you got to do. You don't got to do nothing else. Put some salt. Don't do that nonsense.
That is so funny. My dad puts salt on watermelon. He's 94. He eats always that. And my grandmother grew up in the country on a farm in Middle Tennessee, salt on tomato slices. And that's what
my dad does that. My dad is from Vidalia. My dad is from Vidalia, Georgia, home of the world-renowned Vidalia onions. So they used to eat the onion tomato sandwiches. But the problem is, my daddy used to try to give us that stuff. I say, hey man, I ain't from Vidalia. I'm from Swainsboro. You better put some meat on that with mine. I don't want no tomatoes and no onions and no salt, man. Get out of here with that.
I love that part because we grew up, all of our parents and grandparents or from farm. I mean, Memphis, Ben, is, let me just say this, it's the largest small town in America. And I'm over here at the farm, the cherry farm, in Parkin, 30 minutes from downtown. And, there's maybe a little over 1,100 people in this town. Everybody knows each other. They got a volunteer fire department. And I can see the skyline, the lights of Memphis at night. I mean, but it's just awesome over here. And now, maybe during the show, you'll hear the buzz of a crop duster flying 50 feet over the house because they're putting the pre-emergence out there, getting ready for planting season. But these farms around here are 25,000, 5,000, 7,000. It's just massive. But talk about great people over in here. You can't get any better than small town America. I mean, I love Memphis, but everybody in Memphis is 1, 2, 3 generations removed from living in a small town in West Tennessee, East Arkansas, or North Mississippi in the Delta. And that's what makes Memphis such a friendly town. Ain't any town out there that's perfect, but you're right about the small town, the country people, everybody's country. My wife, Audrey, grew up in Collierville, in where Memphis is, but it's out in the county. There were 6,000 people. Her backyard was a cotton field. That's what it was. Now there are 64,000 people in Collierville. It's still small town charm, but I want to tell you something, Ben. You're exactly right. And Vidalia, Swainsboro, Bainbridge, Tifton, Moultrie, Waycross, all these little towns, they produce the football players. They produce a lot of great people. They go to Atlanta, and, there's a big dichotomy. Like Buck Ballou, he's a South Georgia boy. He's not from Atlanta. And, I love the people from these small towns because they basically, Vince Dooley for the longest time wouldn't recruit kids from big cities. He wanted the small town kids. And it's even better when you've got a paper mill or a sawmill or where a work ethic is instilled, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the greatest thing about being from a small town, man, we all know everybody and we all rise and fall with each other. When one person does well, we all do well. When one person falls, we all fall with them. And I think what it instills in you a greater sense of family and community because you understand that you represent these 15 to 20 miles. And it gives you a great sense of pride to know that it taught me that the only thing I truly possess in this life is my failures. My successes belong to so many people. And when I say so many people, I'm talking about people that look like me and don't look like me, share my bloodline, don't share my bloodline. Because when I got drafted way back in 2004, I was at my dad's friend's house. There was more people there that I've never met that I'm shaking their hand because there are always people watching. But when you're from a country town and, when you're from the country and you walk in an airport and you see somebody from where you're from, you get to yelling and screaming. You forget you in the airport. Like, dude, you can't be yelling that loud in no airport. I'm like, I'm sorry. You about to get a charge. But yes, being from a small town, I wouldn't change it because I can survive in the city. But them city slickers, y'all couldn't survive in the country. Y'all can't deal with the bugs and the mosquitoes and the sand gnats and the lizards. But guess what? That's where they live at. They live in the outskirts.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, look, hang on with us, Ben. Hopefully you'll stay on the rest of the show if you can, because John Hartwell, our friend, is the athletic director at University of Louisiana Monroe. He'd been at Utah State for the last 7.5 years, and the Aggies are in the NCAA tournament, and he's got his Warhawks on. But John is from Mobile, went to UMS, went to the Citadel, a real easy place, and played basketball there in college. So, Ben was an All-American tight end at Florida for Steve Spurrier and Ron Zook, and played 5 years in the NFL as an ESPN Coastal over in Savannah. And so he's on here with us. And John is he's a sports junkie, but I'll tell you what he is. He's got a background in public accounting. He might be the smartest guy as an athletic director in these here 50 United States of America. So, John, jump in here with Ben and me. It is the day before St. Patrick's Day, the opening day of March Madness. And what's not to like about all this?
Good morning, guys. Hope y'all are doing well. Ben, great to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's and my schedule, man. I was looking at my calendar this morning. I have too many meetings today. What I call one of the greatest days in sport, or greatest 2 days in sports, with all of the matchups going on in the NCAA tournament. And hey, there are going to be some upsets today. There are going to be, and some people have picked those, some people have not. You referred to the Aggies. They've got Missouri. They're one of the early today. I think it's maybe 12:40 or 11:40 Central Time. But it's great because it's the David versus Goliath in a lot of these cases. And, while David's not given much of a chance to win, there's always a couple that happen in these early rounds. And it's, what makes it arguably, again, a couple of the greatest days in sports. But, it's giving student athletes the opportunity to showcase their talents, maybe that are not household names, and the opportunity to be on that big stage.
Hey, I love your talk about the underdog. Matt Dean joins us right now from over in Memphis at Rhodes College, and Ben Troupe, John Hartwell, Rob Browne. Always remember that David Goliath comparison, the parable. As Shug Jordan said, one time Auburn was a prohibitive underdog. I think it was 1972. Number 2 ranked Alabama, lowly Auburn at number 5 or 6, 16, 17-point underdog. Went into that game, and when asked what kind of chances Auburn had, Shug Jordan replied, "Well, I seem to recall many years ago, David was a 40-point underdog to Goliath." How'd that work out? I love it. Ben, jump in here.
Man, at the end of the day, the greatest thing about college sports is the NCAA tournament, because it really, really doesn't matter where you go. I mean, Kennesaw State, they made it in. Howard, they made it in. There's a team that I played for in college that will go unnamed that didn't make it in. That didn't make it in. But what happens is, right? What happens is, John Calipari so many years ago, Gardner Webb jumped on the scene, blew up everybody's bracket. Why? Because Kentucky's going home. Do I want to see blue bloods get put out? Yes, because that's the only way some of these mid-majors, quote, which I don't like that word, get respect. But I will say this. The thing about a mid-major, they put more pressure on these blue bloods because they're going to say, okay, we can run, we can defend, we can rebound, and we got pretty good halftime adjustment. I love the NCAA tournament because it is about, getting guys that you don't even know who they are, and then they get to show the world. I mean, we play good basketball in this part of the country too. I guarantee you, no matter what, Bill Self can say whatever he wants. He nervous because everybody's expecting them to, can they do the unthinkable to go back to back? I'm just looking forward to it because I think you put your fandom to the side and you just love the fact that this is the best basketball. The only thing about it is this. Whoever's going to lose at the buzzer, I feel bad for y'all. It'd be more buzzer beaters in the NCAA tournament than it happened in 30 years. But I am looking forward to it for all the teams that made it. Congratulations. I think it's definitely going to be some upsets. And as my mama asked me, is Warren Buffett still giving out $1 billion for a perfect bracket? I said, yeah, mama, because ain't nobody going to get no perfect bracket. There is no such thing as a perfect bracket. I don't care how many brackets you do. And I know, Rob, you said you're going to make one for your dog. Your dog going to come one game short. So he will not get his $1 billion. Guaranteed.
God. And if he does, I'll act as trustee. And John will be my accountant. Hey, we got about a minute before the break. Damn. I need Mildred right now. Just if you're ever laughing and you need to get a straight face, just think of waking up every morning in bed next to Mildred. Good morning. Oh, all right, now, seriously. Matt Dean, jump in here with us. I got to say this. I'm with Ben. I love all these schools. I love the, D1, D2, D3, mid-major, large. You know what? God bless America. They're all keeping score. This stuff matters. We need college sports to be successful because it pulls this country together like nothing else. Like Elvis said, people getting together is great because people getting together means eating. Won't you slide me over the salt shaker and unscrew the top before you do it? Matt, is that right?
Well, listen, it's the best thing we got going. I remember being a young kid in 1980. I still remember the music they used before Iowa got to the Final Four. Kenny Loggins soundtrack. This is it. I mean, Ronnie Lester.
Matt, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We got to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Mildred just gave me the watch. Right back with more Thursday's 80 Angle Sidelines.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Back here on this round table. Matt, before we go back to you, just got this in from Keith Richards, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Keith, God, I heard that name before. And yes, in the South, by God, you put salt on watermelon, salt on tomatoes, salt and pepper on a tomato sandwich. Hell, boy, what's going on out there? Who doesn't know that? I just told Audrey, I didn't know we put salt and pepper on a tomato sandwich. Matt Dean, you're from Iowa. You ever had a salt and pepper tomato sandwich before?
No, I've had a lot of pepper on my corn, because I'm a Hawkeye. You know what I'm saying? I'll put a little pepper on my corn off the grill.
There we go.
I don't know, man. I don't really like salt and pepper on my tomatoes. So
we'll still let you stay on today.
I'm all over the salt and pepper on tomatoes or tomato sandwich, but why do you want to ruin a good sweet watermelon by putting salt on it?
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know where they get that nonsense from, man. I don't care. People go, oh, I do that before. So I know people that put sugar on grapefruit. That don't mean you're supposed to do it just because you can do it. Like people like, oh, I do that too. I don't like it when someone says something that's nonsensical and somebody validates, hey man, I do that too. Well, both of y'all wrong. If y'all was a number, I would put a 1 in front of y'all because if both of y'all are zeros. I don't deal with nonsense like that. Watermelon comes already made. Cut it, put it in your mouth and eat it. That's it. RG3, AJ Browne, just because y'all make millions of dollars, y'all still can make some idiotic decisions. And because RG3 like just put some salt on it. No, AJ Browne goes, oh, it's nasty. If watermelon's nasty, but you eat stuff like asparagus and kale, I question you, man. I'm just saying I question those type of decisions, man. I'm just saying.
I'm with I like watermelon ice cold. I like it because after I come in from biking or running, it rehydrates your body. John Hartwell, you are at ULM. Let's talk right now. What's your vision right now? Basketball. You got Terry Bowden in football, who, by the way, if you're an Auburn fan, you go back to 1993, August 15th, on a hot August humid afternoon on the practice field, news came down Auburn was going on NCAA probation. Auburn could have quit, given up, fallen into a crack and disappeared, but they found excuses to win. The best team on radio. I still got the t-shirt, man. What Terry Bowden did in those first 2 years was save Auburn football from going into an abyss. You know, when he was going into his 6th year, he had the 7th best winning percentage in college football in his first 5 years. Then he went into the 6th year with a backup quarterback who later became an all-SEC quarterback, 5 snaps in his career. Things didn't work out, but that guy knows how to coach football. He didn't forget. It's in his DNA. What's going on over there? How fired up are you? Have you talked to all your coaches over there? Are you going out there and asking for the order? This is the time when you think about a program like ULM, because they get into the tournament and they become just rock stars of the American people because they come in maybe as an underdog. But any of the mid-majors, I don't like that term anyway. I think they all are majors because if they keep score, it all counts the same.
Yeah, we are in the midst of spring practice right now in football. Got our spring game coming up here in a couple of weeks on April 1st. And as with most folks these days, spring ball probably means even a little bit more because you got transfers, you got mid-year guys who, some of which are high school kids who finished up a semester early. So trying to acclimate all the new guys into the system. We've got a new defensive coordinator in Vic Koning, who's a guy that's had a lot of success. So, some new pieces to the puzzle. And, you think, oh gosh, here we are, the middle of March. And, as we talked about, March Madness going on, but it'll be Labor Day weekend and things will be kicking off before we know it. We actually open the season with Army here at home, and every defensive coordinator's nightmare, a triple option to open the season. But there's a lot of excitement and anticipation. Back to the basketball side of things, I hadn't gotten Matt Dean's application yet, but hey, we're in the market for a women's basketball coach right now too. So I've got I've gotten quite a few folks. You as an athletic director, you never know how many new best friends you've got till you got a head coaching position open, and then people come out of the woodwork. So we're vetting through those right now. I'm probably going on the road here Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, going over to Dallas to interview a handful of candidates. So plenty going on in the Bayou here right now. Hey, I left Utah, trying to get away from cold weather. I went outside this morning. It was like 37 degrees. I'm like, it's not supposed to be this cold in the South, mid-March. Spring's supposed to have sprung, and the flowers are telling me they have. The azaleas are blooming. The magnolia blooms are starting to come, but it's a little chilly here in the Bayou this morning.
No, trust me, freeze warnings up here in Memphis and Parkin every night, still burning fires all night long. Matt Dean, what about it? We want you to stay on this show, but no, look, you know what? I love it when you have opportunities like you have down there. You're going to pick somebody that's going to be successful. But Matt, that coaching search, what all's involved in that? How much is enough information?
Well, John said something that resonates with me. I've went through when I was an AD in 3-year period, I hired a men's coach for basketball, women's coach, and also a football coach. No one will talk to you for weeks, but if you have a basketball or football job open, people magically find your cell phone number. I will tell you that. And your email is just blown up. And Ben, you played at the highest level. I mean, I get resumes when I was an AD for a Division III football job for former Division I football guys. I mean, it's just amazing because everybody wants to let you know why they should be your coach at those two sports. And so I know what John's going through. But on the flip side, the great thing about basketball, football, it takes time to rebuild a program. It does because of just the pure math and the numbers. And you got to get some of those younger kids in the weight room and they become juniors and all of a sudden they have a chance to win more football games. But in basketball, you stack 2 classes together and you go in the portal and hit some successes there. You got a chance to flip your program in a relatively short period of time. It's, I'm always a development guy. I believe in 4-year kids, but when you're building a program, you have to get some student athletes from every possible avenue.
Yeah. Ben, along the lines of what Matt and John are saying, because they both, John's athletic director, Matt's been an AD, he's now associate AD, but he coached women's basketball in college for 16 years. When we talk now about you're recruiting kids out of high school, then you're going to the portal, going to junior college, but customer retention in the business world is huge. Employee retention. You do it with 401ks, with benefits, with ESOPs, 403Bs, 457 plans, key man insurance policies, any number of different things. What about that? How important is that to have somebody on the staff whose sole job or group of people is to say, hey, man, stay here. If it works out, that's great. Bust your ass if it does. But if not, you've got connections for life. You think John Hartwell, when he was at the Citadel, thought about anything other than just get me out of here alive? And you don't have to do a 5-year military commitment when you graduate from the Citadel or VMI, where everybody in my family except me went. I don't know what happened with me. I guess I was obsessed with going to Auburn. That's just the way it is. But What about that, Ben? Just saying, hey, man, stay here. You think John doesn't have connections as, ring knocker from his days at the Citadel? We all saw that movie with David Keith in there and that guy. All right, Bobo, I got you. That guy out there, was he real? I don't know. Matt, you know that. Ben, you know that at Florida. I think John's the right guy to be the AD at La Monroe. And you know what? He's a young guy, but I'd be thinking, hey, man, I want to keep who I got.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, and I'd be interested to hear Ben's perspective from this. And I've in 3 weeks on the job, I've told our coaches this. I'm like, here's why it's more important than ever. It's always been important, but it's even more important. And this phrase probably gets overused, but student athlete experience. And there are so many things that go into that. I'm like, at the end of the day, we're going to have some kids come and we're going to have some kids go. But the thing that we can damn well control is how we treat our student athletes every day and give them the tools and resources to be successful in the classroom, on the fields of competition, and ultimately arming them with the tools to be successful in the game of life. Because wins and losses are important, and we all get judged on wins. That's important. But we can't forget that our primary job is we're educators. We have got to educate the young men and women in our program and give them every opportunity at success. And you do those things every day, and if a kid decides to leave, those things are just going to happen. But I darn sure don't want kids to leave because they've had a bad experience.
Yeah. You know what the coolest thing that's happened to me recently? For 14 years, I volunteer coached cross country and track and field at St. Louis Catholic Middle School in Memphis, where my kids were. Monday, I had to take my 94-year-old dad to the dentist. My wife and I did. I go in there, and guess who his dentist is? Johnny, you still with us? Yeah,
I'm still here.
Okay, yeah. I go in there to take my dad to the dentist Monday, and guess who his dentist was? I couldn't believe it. I went, oh, my God. The first kid that I've coached who's now a doctor, Clayton Myers, and he's with Scott Edwards dental practice in Memphis. I was like, this is unreal. He's like, hey, Coach Rob. I think over 600 kids my group coached. It's not about it. It's a privilege to coach. It's not a right. It's a privilege to impact people's lives. But you know what? I like John, Matt, Ben. I go into Walgreens to pick up his medicine the other day, and I told the people there, like I do, I say, I want you to know how much we appreciate you busting your tail the last 3 years like nobody else. You're always 30 seconds. I get what I need. You go above and beyond. I said, if I own this place, I'd give y'all cash bonuses. And of course there'd be some paperwork involved, John, but you let people know they matter. Ben, I just wanted to say that because John's exactly right. So is Matt. When he sees all the kids he's coached over the years, talk about that. Yeah. From the student athlete experience. Cause I bet you 1 or 2 times, maybe you wanted to go home and not finish your degree. What did your mother say and your father say?
Well, the biggest thing for me was when I'm at the University of Florida, it's such a huge entity. You trying to figure out where you fit. But what stood out the most was Jeremy Foley was the athletic director when I was there. And he used to talk to me like I was a coach. Like he always just, hey, Biddy, he would just come to, and to me, I had to normalize his normal. Because in my mind, it's not normal. Most guys, we know who the AD is, but he or she is so busy. And when I got inducted into the Florida Georgia Game Hall of Fame, right, Jeremy Foley was sitting right beside me. And he said, you didn't understand how much I was invested in you winning. And I'm not talking about on the field. Like, I don't get a chance to, he said, I couldn't say that to you. I had to show you that. And I used to imitate Jeremy Foley because athletic directors, you around him so much. My senior year, every home game, win or lose, he would shake my hand. He would come up to me in the locker room. A lot of times I'm crying as we lost a game. But that stuff goes a long way because I know he don't got to do that. So when John talking about the student athlete experience, that's what it's about. Because sometimes the only people who humanize you are the people around you. Like fans, they can't separate it because you represent the hopes and dreams of them either going to the NCAA tournament or making bowl games. athletic director coming up to you saying, "Hey, Benny, man, how's everything going?" You like, "It's going all right." And it's almost like I've dehumanized him because of his position. And he's saying, "No, man, I'm like everybody else, man. I'm here to make sure everybody get a chance to have the best opportunity there is." And obviously expectations don't go away, but I just appreciate that, because when you go to college as an athlete, that's your identity. You don't know how to be nothing else. It takes them showing you that, hey, man, I know this is crazy, but let this be a part of your life, not all of your life. That way you can enjoy it. That way, if it don't go well, you don't think your life is over, because that's what I thought. If you know, and I ain't played for 4 years, but I'm indebted to all the staff people. I ain't played for 3 years, so I used to hang out upstairs with the people that really make the bells and whistles go. I'm laying on couches talking to people. I put them in my freaking book to let them know I learned how to treat everybody with respect, and not just the trainers or the equipment man or the head coach. But yeah, John, you're right, man. I mean, you guys, listen, ADs. I asked Jeremy Foley, I said, "How did you do what you did?" He said, I just understood what my job was. Yes, I got to bring in the best coaches. Yes, I brought in Steve Spurrier and Billy Donovan. You know, I hit the jackpot twice. But I got to make sure that I bring in guys that's going to bring in staff and players that's going to make me. He said, "I'm not here for y'all to make me look good. I'm here to show y'all that this is the type of things I'm willing to do for y'all." And like I said, man, it went a long way. I'm still benefiting from the University of Florida right now. They got me on the NIL platform doing podcasts. But when they asked about me on campus, they didn't ask the athletic department. They went upstairs to the SIDs. They went up there to the people that I work with now. And I'm forever indebted, man. Somebody said it, man, when you go to whatever school, you ain't making a 4-year decision, you're making a 40-year. And I'm benefiting from it now. So yeah, John, you're right, man. Y'all listen, I respect ADs, I respect coaches. That's why I'll never do it. You don't get my resume, because I'm not doing it. I respect it too much, Matt. You too. I love y'all, but that's gonna be a big hell no for me. I couldn't do it, because that's too many mouths to feed. That's too many people to have to walk around, and the same person that was talking trash on me with Twitter, I got to go ahead and shake his hand. Yep, because he's a donor. All right, how you doing? I respect it. That's why I don't do it. That's why I just talk trash on these airwaves.
That's right. Hey, those are great words of advice, Ben. Hey, you make a great point there. I tell people all the time, if you want to truly know what's going on within a team or within your student athletes, go see the trainers and go see the equipment folks. Those are the people who student athletes let their hair down and they know the cold, hard truth.
Yeah. Well, you know who probably knew as much or more than anybody about what went on in Alabama for a long? Jim Goosetree, legendary trainer. Gene Lorendo at Auburn. Now our friend Dana Marquez, director of equipment operations for 21 Sports with 37 or 40 managers. He brings them over to his house once a week and cooks out for them. The next week he takes them out to dinner. You talk about investing in your employees, guys. I mean, that is so critical that you invest in the people that make you click, that make you work. And I know John, we may have lost John. He's got a meeting at 9:30 with some donors. So I know he's going to have to get off. I hope he can get back on with us. But man, wow, we'll get that background. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Right back. We got a lot to talk about. Matt, the Steamer Pack of Crystals is on the line at Legacy Arena today. Loser leaves town. Hair match. Auburn versus Iowa right after this. Okay, we're back here with this round table, man. John Hartwell, athletic director at ULM, University of Louisiana, Monroe. Guess where that is? Monroe, Louisiana. He's got a meeting, I know, at 9:30 with some folks that he had to get off for. But let me say something again real quick. We love our sponsors. If you are moving to Memphis, If you live in Memphis, you're looking to buy or sell a home, residential, one call, Eleanor Maynard. Background on Eleanor. She is a 4th-generation Memphis residential realtor, 3rd-generation Hobson realtor, top 5% out of 4,600 realtors in 2022. Top 5%. If she was a recruit, she'd be a 5-star. Okay. Give her a call. You go to the website. It's on there. Hobson Realty. It's on our website, sidelines.live. Hit the hyperlink. Get started. Eleanor Maynard, the realtor for Sidelines. Whether you live in Memphis, you're moving to Memphis, give her a call to find a house, to sell your house. She and her team will get her done. Eleanor Maynard. Also, rumbleboxinggym.com/Midtown Memphis and Camp Lee. She's opening up 3 of these gyms, Matt and Ben. The first one will be in Midtown Memphis, Union and McLean. On one side of the studio, it's a big complex. You're going to have 25 weight benches. In the middle, 45-minute group workouts. And on the other side, 25 punching bags. You can do anything. It could be a referee in a game that made a call that made you mad, whatever. But rumbleboxinggym.com. It's great total body workouts. Go to the website, rumbleboxinggym.com/Midtown Memphis. Join now. You can get a reduction in price, but you will get the full attention of the staff at rumbleboxinggym.com. Matt, you were rolling, man. You were on fire, and great balls of fire. Keep going with what you were saying before the break. Remember, I am ADHD, OCD, and I've been drinking coffee in the basement for 4 hours, and my name is Matt Foley, and I live in a van down by the river. So go back to what you were talking about because I lost my train of thought.
Well, Rob, I'm at that age where I kind of forgot what I was talking about, but let's go to Auburn, Iowa.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
You had mentioned, we got that little side bet today. I'll give you a little history on Bruce Pearl from an Iowa native. Bruce started out with Dr. Tom Davis as an assistant coach in 1986 to 1992 with the Iowa Hawkeyes. A lot of people don't realize in 86, 87, Iowa made it to the Elite Eight and led UNLV by 20 at half before falling to the Running Rebels in a close game. But Bruce has always had an affinity for Iowa. He was there for 6 years. Matter of fact, he hired Matt Gatens a few years back as a graduate assistant who was on their 18 team or on the staff. And Matt Gatens is now back working at Iowa where he played college ball for Fran McCaffrey. So quickly, I don't want to bore the listeners with all that data, but I think Auburn's going to be a challenge for Iowa because of their athleticism. I will tell you this. Iowa has a player by the name of Chris Murray, whose twin brother plays for the Sacramento Kings, Keegan Murray. He'll be a lottery pick. He's 6'8", 6'9", long, shoots the three, third-team AP All-American. I love Iowa's point guard, Tony Perkins, tough kid from Indianapolis. But it's going to come down to if Auburn defends the three really well, which statistically they do, Iowa will have a hard time today.
Well, let me say this now. We're getting even more into the basketball. Ben Troupe, Gator All-American, ESPN Coastal, Savannah, Matt Dean, Rhodes College over in Memphis. Let's bring on Executive Director of the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center Authority. They own and manage Legacy Arena. I think there's something happening there today in the Magic City, Birmingham. I got to tell you, this hookup was made possible by our great friend Dave Cody, who I've known for 40 years, and Dennis Latham. By the way, that was a great picture, Tad, that Dave sent me last night of Dennis Latham several years ago wearing his plaid jacket in tribute to Winifred E. Wimp Sanderson, legendary Alabama basketball coach. I love that guy. He made basketball fun. Him and Sonny, you can't get much better. Throw in Jerry Clower and got heaven on earth. But I love Birmingham. My son just graduated from Auburn. Lived there 6 months. He's in Charlotte, but he's going to be moving back. Got so many great friends, so many listeners of our show in Birmingham. In the holy trinity of college athletics, it's Dallas-Fort Worth because of the College Football Playoff Committee and the Big 12 and the AAC and Conference USA, and it's Texas, Birmingham, and Atlanta. Birmingham, centrally located. There is not a city. I'm just saying this totally. I'm not getting paid to say it, but that Monday morning Birmingham Quarterback Club gave out $1.6 million and change this year to local charities like Children's Hospital of Alabama. So many great causes. But the city of Birmingham, it's not as big as Atlanta or Dallas, but it's per capita the greatest college football. 85% identify as college football fans in a survey. The other 15%, I guess, didn't get the survey because they're all football. And basketball is huge too. Legacy Arena, you can't miss it, right there by the SEC headquarters, the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, the great restaurants, the city, everything down there. I've got so many memories growing up. I still drive by Legion Field, Tad, and my stomach is up in my throat. I've got a lot of trauma. The Tide and Tiger liquor store, you name it, parking, $20, $30. You come back, your car is there. So many great memories of that place. Now you got, that's right, March Madness kicking off today. Matt Dean coached basketball 16 years, women's basketball at Rhodes. Of course, Ben played at Florida and played in the NFL. Now tell us about Birmingham. You're opening up your city, the whole country, the world is going to be watching. You got the number one seeds, Alabama and Houston. You got Auburn and Matt School, Iowa. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm a graduate of Auburn. So is my dad, my kids. But let's talk about how excited are you about today? I'm rambling, but this is awesome having you on here.
Yeah, this is a big day for Birmingham and the BJCC and Legacy Arena, which was formerly the BJCC Coliseum. Building was built in 1975, and we just finished a $125 million renovation last year, leading us to be able to bid for and secure these first and second rounds with the NCAA and host the tournament again. The building's got a great history with basketball, going back to originally the men's SEC basketball tournament was in the building, hosted numerous first and second rounds, had some just iconic games in the building back in the Gene Bartow era with UAB and the history of UAB basketball, playing Virginia and Ralph Sampson and the Twin Towers, if you remember that. Yeah. But yeah, with this bracket that we were fortunate to get this year, hosting again for the first time again since 2008, like you said, with two number one seeds, Alabama and Auburn, both playing at home. You said you got Iowa, West Virginia, Maryland. I mean, it's you couldn't ask for a better kind of reintroduction to NCAA basketball.
Man, I mean, and when you're up there at the club up on the mountain and you look around that city, it is the Magic City, man. You don't half-ass anything in that town. You do it 110%. And what I think is so cool about Birmingham is it's not just Auburn and Alabama. You've got a natural anchor. And then there's UAB and all these other schools. And you got people like Hall Thompson and Jim Gorey and the great folks and Auburn and Alabama. And again, my oldest daughter's an Alabama graduate. So, this is the way it is. But they pulled together for Birmingham. This is an awesome event for the city. And I'm going to start first with you, Matt, and then go to Ben. Now, y'all have questions for Tad, but 17,000. It's going to be a great environment. God, look at that roster, Matt. How cool is this?
Well, first of all, Tad, it's a pleasure to talk with you. What's really neat about this this pod is you have some great coaches there too. And I saw the other night, Coach Huggins and Coach Kennedy have a long-time relationship. So UAB was hosting a first-round NIT game, and I saw Coach Huggins actually show up at the UAB game to support him. And I just thought that was really neat because being in Memphis, you talk about centrally located at our campus. We've hosted a lot of practices when Memphis has had a regional. I had the chance to meet Coach Izzo when Michigan State won the national championship in 2000. I met Lute Olson when on their way to a national championship run. But one of the things Gene Bartow, obviously legendary. And he's legendary in Memphis too, the former coach of the Tigers.
Right.
And I got to tell you guys, I met him one time. Just class personified, one of the best human beings, and one of the best basketball minds we've ever seen. But quick question. Did my Hawkeyes represent? How many Iowa tickets did you sell, Tad? Iowa fans, what do you got there for me?
I don't have the exact count, but I've seen, even milling around this morning, with the first game still a few hours away, colors from every school floating around the building. So, the interest in the tournament dates here were high as soon as it went on sale about 6 months ago. That initial on sale went very well, but this is an impossible ticket to find.
Yeah.
Every session sold out. So, that just tells you about the excitement that's been bubbling up here, and especially with the quality of this bracket and the teams we have here in Birmingham. The anticipation of this first game is so high.
Yeah. Ben?
And Ted, I heard you talk about the $125 million renovation you guys did last year, but when I hear an event of this magnitude, all I hear is logistics and behind the scenes. I know that the ticket sales are one thing, but the manpower that it takes, the meetings that it takes, how much goes into saying, one, we bid it, and then they go, we won the bid. Yeah, okay. What goes into something of this magnitude, having the West Virginians and the Marylands and the Auburns and the Alabamas all touching down to Birmingham?
Yeah, well, like you said, it just scales out. Yeah, the venue's one thing, and the team it takes to perform the in-venue component of it, whether it's, and we tell this to our team all the time, we have, the individual that takes your money or your ticket at the parking lot, that's your first arrival, your first experience. Then you'll deal with somebody getting in the doors, and you deal with somebody at a concession stand long before you ever enjoy the game. And it takes every one of those teams working together to make a great fan experience. But then go outside of that. You got to have partners like we do with our city of Birmingham and Jefferson County and the SEC who partnered with us to bid on this. And then all the hotels, like you said, the teams and fans are staying at. And then all the restaurants and entertainment options being prepared for this number of people in town. It's a big effort that we've been building towards for a while, and we're glad it's here and we're ready for people to get a taste of Birmingham.
Yeah, and you're talking about how many people it takes to make it happen, and just it's got to be in the hundreds, if not more, because of the volunteers also. But we have a lot of listeners on this show. We're very blessed. A lot of them are going to be there at this event. What's really special, I know when Memphis has hosted NCAA tournaments, there's an electricity in the town that is everywhere. But, I remember when Coach Dye was at Auburn a couple of years after he'd retired, speaking to the Touchdown Club, and we picked him up at the airport and were visiting before the deal, and then he got up there to speak, and he said something that I think still it definitely still resonates with me today. He goes, how many Ole Miss fans we got in here tonight? How many Arkansas, Tennessee, and a couple schools? He goes, how many Memphis fans we got? I see Mama over there. There we go. All right. He goes, let me tell y'all something. Every damn one of you needs to be a Memphis fan, because if you live in Memphis and you work here and you base your livelihood in Memphis, you all need to be pulling for Memphis. Because that's what I did at East Carolina, and that's what you need to do here in the city of Memphis. That's what's great about this. And Birmingham, I'm not exaggerating, but I have a number of my friends that are in the Monday Morning Birmingham Quarterback Club, the Tip-Off Club. We had Coach John Brady on with us yesterday. Civic pride. What's the old saying? A rising tide floats all boats. And when I saw that helicopter, I got invited to come to that. We were in Atlanta and I couldn't come. When they flew that helicopter in October 11th or 12th of 2021, landed on Protective Life Field. They flew it in and landed it. That was paid for with the help of the Monday Morning Birmingham Quarterback Club. It saves children's lives.
That's right.
God, does it get any better than that?
No, like you said, even back to when these tournament dates were awarded, you could sense the excitement in the community about being back in this hosting conversation again. And like you said, I know we're talking about basketball today, but there's another just tremendous civic story and community sports story about the construction of the protective stadium, like you said, where the helicopter came in and landed. That's maybe for another day. But like you said, the excitement in the community and the support behind this game, again, encouraged by, almost as soon as tickets went on sale, there was an idea Alabama would probably was going to do well this year, may end up playing in this bracket, but the ticket sales immediately were strong. And then, like I said, I mean, this has been an impossible ticket to find for several weeks. Everybody's so excited about getting this tournament underway today.
Yeah.
And the open practice yesterday was really well attended.
Yeah, I've seen them. I know a number of people that went.
Yeah.
That's big. And Ben, Matt, jump in here. We got a couple of minutes before the break, and then we're going to come back. We got a lot to talk about with this event, but y'all go ahead.
No, I mean, Ted, I was just going to say this. I mean, I've been blessed enough to be to the city of Birmingham. How crazy you think it's going to be for them Iowa people coming down and they go to a barbecue restaurant and they order some food and they give them a loaf of bread with a freaking bowl of barbecue sauce. They're gonna be like, what the hell is this? This is your appetizer. Dip the bread. Because I'm telling you, when I went down there and they gave it to me, I was like, what did you look around and realize everybody, how much bread you think will get eaten in these next couple of days, man?
but wasn't it good?
It was the best. Listen, I'm eating so much of the bread and the barbecue sauce, I forgot I didn't order. They came out with the food. I'm like, whose is this? You ordered this. Man, I'm full, man. You can put that in the to-go box. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, lots of parts of the country have their barbecue traditions, but we certainly have them in the South and absolutely have them in Alabama and Birmingham. So yeah, they're going to get a taste of maybe something different, but they're going to enjoy it. They're going to want it again.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about the city of Birmingham. And again, this is special because it's right in our backyard. With I-22 being finished, Memphis to Birmingham, it's 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's a quick trip, okay? Now, in the old days, I never forget my parents used to come down on Fridays for the Auburn games and get stopped in Winfield, Alabama. Back then, the sheriff would take you in. You had to write him a check Friday night to get out of there. But it's a great time. Finally, they got that last couple of miles paved around the Colberg Road exit. But we're going to come right back. Rob Browne, Matt Dean, Ben Troupe, Tad Snyder, Legacy Arena, the center of the basketball universe today, right after this.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Ben Troupe had to bail out. I know he stayed on with us as long as he could. We had a lot of fun with that. Let me go over some. This is some stuff, Tad, that Doug Dean sent us Monday, our friend down in Birmingham with the AU Dose. And he is he put out a list of some of the restaurants for people to go to. And Birmingham, you live there, but I'm a food junkie. I love good food, so I'll exercise a lot. But we'll run down this list. Doug's can't miss picks. Fine dining, Automatic Seafood, Chef Adam Evans. Hot and Hot Fish Club, Chef Chris Hastings.
Another good
Bottega, Chef Chris Stitt, Highland Avenue. Gianmarco's, Italian. Helen, I got to check this one out. Southern Cuisine on 2nd Avenue North. Galley and Galley, Highland Avenue. And he said casual barbecue. We all know about Dreamland. And then there's Slice Pizza in Lakeview. Dimitri's Barbecue. I know about that. The Nakoses over there in Homewood. Dimitri's Barbecue. Saul's Barbecue. And check out the food and the bar offerings at Uptown near the March Madness Legacy Arena venue. And I also love Johnny's Greek Meat and 3. Tim Hansis over there in Homewood. I love that place. The Greek restaurant scene in Birmingham. John T. Edge, and the guys did an incredible SEC True South on Birmingham. From Birmingham to the Gulf Coast, it's all Greek, isn't it? It's just, but what a great food scene they got.
Yeah, Nicky's, which is pretty close to the arena as well, is Greek food. Throw in there Rodney Scott for barbecue as well. That's another great local barbecue option. Blueprint on 3rd is kind of a great restaurant that's kind of in that intermediate between fine dining and casual. Another great one. But there's so many great places to eat in Birmingham. I mean, for a community or city of a size, I mean, food is one thing that has just really, really, really exploded the last 10 years. And it's very easy to find great food in Birmingham.
Yeah. And Maury Gaston took me to Fish Market, downtown Birmingham.
Another good one, yeah.
God. And then, of course, you can't beat. I'll tell you what, if you're out in Mountain Brook staying at the Bohemian Hotel, Char Bar.
I was there Sunday. That's another great option.
God, that is in Mountain Brook Village there, because wow. But you got to think about it. You got people who are going to be there, obviously Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So great opportunity for the city of Birmingham. And it's just ginormous. And I think about Memphis in May Barbecue Fest, $137 million impact in downtown Memphis. That provided by Ernie Meller of the Downtown Restaurant and Merchants Association. And to think there's a possibility, Tad, they may move Barbecue Fest in Memphis away from the Bluff because some people in tennis shoes are too stuffy to let us have fun down there. But anyway, Matt, let's get back on this thing with basketball. But you got to eat, you got to have places to stay. And before I go back to Matt, one thing: if people are vacillating on the fence, just go to Birmingham and just be part of it. But is there like a direct number for information on if hotel rooms, restaurant, who should they call?
So 2 resources that are really good for you. So our Convention and Visitors Bureau, every city has one. Yeah. Greater Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau. You can Google that, listing of hotels, restaurants, attractions, all the stuff to do in Birmingham. They even have itineraries planned out for you. If I've got 24 hours in Birmingham, I've got 48 hours in Birmingham, here's your must-see things. That's probably the best resource for those who are coming into the community for the first time. And then there's an online publication, BHAM Now, BHAMNOW.com. They do a lot of great, local interest stories. Another great resource to check out.
Yeah. And the whole downtown area, there'll be a lot of foot traffic. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Matt, you and I have talking about that Auburn, Iowa matchup, and you got West Virginia there. I thought that was a cool story. And our friend Kevin Skarbinski's on with us most every week on Saturdays, Tad. Glad to see him inducted into the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame. That's a well-deserved. Kevin's just he's a hell of a writer, but he's a good person. And I got to go to that CoachSafely.org dinner back in August at Vestavia Hills Country Club. Again, I don't know what it is. If every city would follow Birmingham's model of everybody pulling together we're better. Man, what amazing what might happen. But Matt, jump back in here.
Well, I have another food place that when we used to play Birmingham Southern, our teams, Tad, one of my favorites, Nicky's West, which is not far from Birmingham Southern Buffet. Man, that's why I kind of put on a few LBs coaching is trips like that. But Nicky's West was one of my favorite. Another storyline about today, and it's going to be really curious. So when Iowa got the draw, some of us Hawkeyes were like, we're an 8 seed. I get it. But Auburn's a 9 seed, and they're not very far away from Birmingham. So us Hawkeye fans are like, man, it's going to feel like a road game. But an interesting storyline is I've seen some Alabama fans say, hey, look, Hawkeyes, we got you. We're going to be pulling for you while we're watching the game down there. So I think the Iowa faithful have picked up some Bama fans this week. I'm hopeful.
Now, do you really think that Auburn fans would pull against Alabama? Now, really? I mean, I my best friend from childhood were 2 days apart. Tad went to Alabama. I, of course, went to Auburn. We get along great. We just don't watch the Iron Bowl together.
Exactly.
It's duck season, and there's a lot of guns around.
Yeah, I mean, sports fans in Alabama whether you're an Alabama or Auburn fan. I mean, it certainly is passionate, and there are those who would pull for anyone other than, we're certainly do exactly what you're just saying. And then there's some that just want the teams in the state to represent well. I mean, Auburn had a great run a couple of years ago, if you remember, all the way to the Final Four. And although that was, there was some, kind of jawing back and forth about, Alabama, you may have football, we got basketball. Well, that's kind of flipped again too. So there's jokes around that. I mean, we are certainly passionate about sports in Alabama.
Well, I saw Doug Dean put this out, the list, and Matt, you've probably seen this, or if not, I'll send it to you. The list of the heavy hitters that are coming in to cover these games.
Yeah.
I think you got Jim Nance, Tracy Wolfson, and my man Bill Rafferty. Matt Dean shoots it from high in the arc. Onions. I mean, can you get? I will walk to Birmingham carrying an 80-pound rucksack, Tad, if you can get Bill Rafferty on sidelines just to talk to. Tomorrow, Saturday, I just want him to come on there and say, what would you say to a guy who was born and raised in the town of Vidalia, Georgia? Onions.
That's great. But yeah, I mean, like I said, with 2 number 1 seeds and the way this bracket shaped up, there's a lot of interest in these games today and what will be Saturday, no matter who plays through. So yeah, again, to come back from 2008, back here in 2023 and be hosting again, we're thrilled. You couldn't have asked for more.
Yeah. All the stars lined up. And then, and Matt, I'll say this, Auburn may be, takes me a little less than 2 hours, depending on what that traffic's like on 280 out there down by Grandview Medical Center, 459 Junction. It could be 2 hours of traffic. It could be you just go right through. Or like the Auburn basketball team, when they came up to Birmingham a couple of days ago, they had a police escort. I don't think they stopped for any lights. But bottom line, man, when you come in, there are a ton of Auburn people that live in Birmingham. But the one thing I would say for Auburn is don't let your guard down. Same thing with Alabama, because that team coming in to play you, they're hungry, and they've got their fans there too. And you just you got 8 fan bases coming in. So of the tickets that are sold, I'm just curious, we just got a few minutes left. Of the tickets that are sold, I guess, the ones that were bought initially would be Auburn and Alabama fans. And Alabama was predicted to do well. They delivered. God, you think about, look around the country, and I know it's hard not to be biased, but as objectively as you can, Tad and Matt, which one is where is there a better region in terms of giving the local fans something to cheer for, a lot to cheer for, and bringing in a lot of, big time national programs?
Yeah, kind of along the lines of what you're saying. What we saw when the tickets initially went on sale was a lot of national interest. People were, emailing or reaching out to us through social media, say, "Hey, I've been to the NCAA tournament for the last 20 years. I do it with my buddies. I do it with my family," and they just decided they were, once the Birmingham was awarded this first and second round, they decided they were going to come here. And that initial on sale, we saw tickets purchased from all over the country.
Well, and so I just think about, Matt, you think about Iowa grads that live in Birmingham, live in Atlanta, live in Memphis, Nashville, Huntsville. That's what's so cool about this tournament. But what kind of pressure, Matt, having coached in tournaments, coached at any level, it's kill or be killed out here. There's this, you lose, you go home.
The fun thing now, and Ted, I don't know how long this has been going on. In 08, it may have been different, but I do think the NCAA got it right with the pod system, because you have now a chance to put Alabama and Auburn in a venue where you got a great chance to sell some tickets. And getting back to your point, Rob, the kids want to play in front of an atmosphere. You don't want to go to a neutral site and have a half-filled arena. It's going to be just, when you walk in there and it's 17,000 plus, whatever the capacity is, Tad, those kids are going to feel like it's just a tremendous experience. And that's what really the tournament's about, is being in the spotlight. And I think, with Alabama, in my Final Four, Alabama played as well as I've seen them play last weekend against Texas A&M. I think Alabama is going to have, I don't want to say nothing's easy, but I think they have a really good bracket. I have them beating Arizona in my Elite Eight. I think Bama's playing so well right now. A lot of people, rightfully so, have picked them to be in the Final Four.
Okay, along the line, just the last couple of minutes with what Matt just said, the pod system. It is brilliant, because what if you brought in a bunch of teams from way away that nobody really had an attachment to Birmingham? It'd be a hell of a lot tougher job. I do like this. I know Kelvin Sampson has let it be known he's not real happy, but he did want to come to Birmingham. Can't really decide who's going to be your opponent, but how many years ago did the city of Birmingham, I'm sure you have a sports council or whatever, how long ago did y'all bid on this? Again, you may have said it earlier, but just for our listeners like Jim Swarthout in Provo, Utah.
Yeah, so the bids, the bid opportunities for, that started this year opened back in, it might have been late 2019, early 2020. At that point, the partners that came together to fund the improvements to the arena and construct the stadium, that was already in place. That all happened in late 2018. So there was already, plans and diagrams and renderings of what the building was going to look like. With that opportunity, our partners at the SEC came to us and say, okay, with the investments in the building and what Legacy Arena is going to be after this work is done, let's go ahead and work together towards this bid. So again, that was, late 2019, early 2020. And then, luckily, moving through that whole bid process and having to some site visits during construction to understand, kind of, hey, we see plans, we see pictures, but what does this really look like? To be able to move through that process and everybody feel good about the venue and what it's going to look like. So it goes back several years.
Yeah. Well,
before the pandemic.
Okay. So, I mean, again, how big a deal it is. When's the next time Birmingham can compete and get this again? Because you do a job with what you're doing. Obviously, you got two local, Auburn and Alabama there, but you could have, Ole Miss or Georgia Tech or Vandy or Tennessee. You'd have incredible crowds as well.
Yeah. So in that round of bidding, I think it was 23, 24, 25, I believe, were the cities and sites that were selected in that round.
Okay.
And Birmingham was awarded first and second round for men's in 23. The first year it was eligible that we could have received it. We're going to host the women's regionals in 2025. Somewhere in between there'll be another round of bidding. And of course, we're going to, you want to participate in that as well. And like you said, pick back up this history of NCAA basketball in Birmingham in this building that's gone back to the late 70s.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. Hey, we're wrapping up now. And Tad Snyder, thank you so much for taking time to join us. And Matt as well, John Hartwell, Ben Troupe, Mark Schlabach, ESPN.com. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us, and we are the most blessed country in the world. If you are wanting to go to Birmingham, sounds to me like get in your truck, drive on down there, Convention and Visitors Bureau. It's going to be a lot of foot traffic. You got St. Patrick's Day. I'm sure there'll be something going on in downtown Birmingham, Tad, for St. Patrick's Day. But the NCAA March Madness, I'll just, both of y'all, close out. First off, Tad, let people know how they can follow you, reach out to you at Legacy Arena, and we really appreciate you taking time to join us. And then, Matt, I'll let you take us out for the finish.
Yeah, so BJCC website that has information about all our venues is bjcc.org. You have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels. Follow us for information about, the games and anything upcoming. And then, like you said, 4 interstates converge within half a mile of the building. You got I-22, you got I-65, I-59, I-20. It's easy to get here. You can fly in as well. If you're interested in Birmingham, come on down.
Yeah, because this is an awesome. I've got to finish my bracket as soon as I get off the. I've got to go finish. I got to get it done. That's how hard it is to do it this year. Matt, give us your final 4.
Okay, now the one precursor is we've talked about this year. I don't think there's a dominant team, but I think a lot of people can get there. I actually have Alabama, Houston, UCLA, And I'm going with Tennessee, despite the fact that Zakai Ziegler got hurt. They guard, and I love teams that guard. So we'll see.
Yeah, as Jimmy Dykes said on ESPN a couple of weeks ago, at this time of the year, it is critical to have good old guards. Doesn't that sound like a Tom T. Hall song? I like little kids and, puppies and watermelon. I mean, good old guards. If you've got that right now and you've got experience and you've got, kind of laid back coaches like Bruce Pearl, you've got Nate Oates, get those fan bases. I think this is the perfect storm brewing here in Birmingham for this tournament. It kicks off here in an hour, Tad, and about an hour and 3 minutes. Is that official launch time?
That is. You're on. Well, 11:15 Central Time.
All right. Well, that was brought in by my friend Matt Foley, who's been in the basement drinking coffee for 6 hours, and I proxied for him on the show today. I'm just a little excited. Hey, folks, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back on tomorrow morning. Make your day count. Go out and help somebody. Have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow. We're out of here.
Bye-bye.